And now the history of the pastors of the Mount Carmel Baptist Church, Fort Payne, Alabama. In 1940, the Reverend Charlie Drain was called to serve as the first pastor. Brother Drain was a bivocational pastor, as he was a teacher in the DeKalb County school system on Sand Mountain. Since it was organized as a primitive Baptist church, the ordinances of the denomination were observed. He served the church well and resigned in 1944.
Johnny Boatner, 1944 to 1947. Brother Boatner was a well-known evangelist who lived in Lindale, Georgia, and had a broadcast on a Rome radio station. Many of the congregation heard him, and he was invited to preach at Mount Carmel. He was called to pastor in 1944, to be the first full-time pastor. The family, wife, and 4 children moved to Sanders Avenue North. This would be their home while in Fort Payne. Brother Boatner was an energetic young man who liked to get things done. The congregation was growing. They needed more space. The church voted to add wings on either side of the church. Before the south wing was built, a basement was dug to be used for Sunday school rooms and a furnace room. After the addition, a steeple was erected and the building was covered with asbestos siding. During his tenure, the church voted to affiliate with the Southern Missionary Baptist Convention as a member of the Lookout Mountain Association. Many were saved and joined the church during the 3 years he served as pastor. He was loved and appreciated by all who knew him.
Following Brother Boatner, the Reverend Euless Graves, a local minister, served the church for the remainder of the associational year in 1947.
Reverend Howard Finster, 1947 to 1948. Brother Finster and Floyd Crow from Somerville, Georgia, ran a tent revival in the early 1940s, which was a great success. Many of the church folks attended the services, so Brother Finster was called to pastor Mount Carmel in 1947. Although his pastorate was only 1 year, the attendance was good and he was especially fond of the youth. He was a self-taught musician playing the piano and several musical instruments. Being an evangelist in the early 1940s, then pastoring 10 churches, he became internationally known for his poetry and folk art in this later years. He always included scripture in his artwork, and his message lives on throughout the United States and beyond.
Reverend Floyd Higgins came to pastor in 1948 and stayed until 1949. During his early years, homecomings and dinner on the ground wasn't unusual.
Reverend Howard Crow, 1950 till 1952. Brother Howard Crow followed Bob Higgins as pastor in 1950 and stayed until 1952. During Brother Crow's ministry, the first pastorium was built, located at 708 Turner Avenue North, 1 block from the church. It was valued at $6,000.
The Reverend Raymond Cook served the church from 1952 until 1953. Brother Cook will be long remembered for his love of those who are lost and his never-tiring evangelistic efforts. He resigned from the church in 1953.
Brother Jake Cash from 1953 till 1954. Reverend Jake Cash followed Brother Crow in 1953 and was pastor until 1954. He was known for his love of the people and his Old Testament preaching.
Reverend Robert Smith, 1954 to 1959. The Reverend Robert Smith was called to pastor his home church of Mount Carmel in 1954, where he was a charter member and preached his very first sermon as a teenager. After pastoring 4 bivocational churches, this would be his first full-time pastorate. He felt he should be able to give all that was required, so he sold his 1/2 interest in a furniture business. During Brother Smith's tenure, improvements were made to the building, including a portico on the front of the building, rockwork accents, and a rock church sign. The ground floor of the present educational building was constructed to accommodate the growing Sunday school. A room in the basement was converted into a broadcast room. Brother Smith came on the air each Sunday morning at 8:30 over WFPA in Fort Payne. The mission program was introduced during these 5 years. WMU director was Ms. Robert Smith. The YWAs were introduced. GA leaders Marie Berry and L.V. Coffey. RAs under the leadership and brotherhood leaders George Berry and Tommy Coffey. 3 of the RAs later became ministers. Sunday school enrollment was 242, training union enrollment was 100, and church additions were 150. Brother Robert resigned in 1959 to pastor Southside Baptist Church in Cedartown, Georgia. After 33 consecutive years and declining health, he resigned from the pastorate. He and Mrs. Smith rejoined his home church in 1979, where he, as a charter member, preached his very first sermon as a teenager and his last sermon in 1982. He suddenly went home to be with the Lord on October 2nd, 1982, at the age of 56.
W. E. Kelly, 1959 to 1960. In 1959, the church called Reverend W. E. Kelly as pastor. During the year, a lot was accomplished. The church voted to go into the DeKalb Baptist Association. The entire interior was remodeled, which included hardwood floors, new factory-made pews, and pulpit furniture. The first organ was purchased during this tenure. Brother Kelly was a good pastor and was able to hold the attendance.
T.D. Burgess, 1960 until 1963. The Reverend T.D. Burgess followed Brother Kelly in 1960. During his ministry, the second floor of the educational building was constructed, and the church purchased a house and a lot adjoining the church property, giving room for expansion. The house was used for a short time as additional Sunday school and training union rooms. The house and old church building were demolished to make room for a new sanctuary and additional parking. During this time, the large room on the second floor of the educational building was used for church services. The sanctuary was completed in 1962 and is the one we now occupy. The new sanctuary and educational building were bricked by two longtime church members and deacons, Brother Floyd Gravett and Brother Odell Dukes. The next year, Brother Gravett designed and constructed the brick sign facing the street at the end of the fellowship hall.
Sherman Harper, 1963 to 1965. Reverend Sherman came in 1963 as our pastor, and under his leadership, the church continued to grow. In 1964, the old pastorium was sold, and a house and lot valued at $13,000 was purchased to use as the pastorium. This house was located at 1510 Williams Avenue North. The church basement was completed, giving 11 new classrooms, a kitchen, and a large assembly hall. A heating system was installed, and the building was insulated. The value of the church property, including the pastorium, was $93,000 at this time. Enrollment at this time was the Sunday school at 461, Training Union 257, WMU 25, Brotherhood 41, church membership 510.
Reverend Melvin Waters, 1966 until 1968. Brother Waters had a radio broadcast while he pastored Mount Carmel and was well known for his evangelistic messages.
T.D. Burgess, 1968 to 1969. Brother Burgess served the church again from 1968 to 1969 and is now an evangelist and still going strong at 85.
Reverend Ed Kugler, 1971 to 1973. Brother Kugler served the church from 1971 to 1973. The first church directory was published during his time as pastor. Danny Flora was hired as the youth director to lead the bus ministry. The church had a very good bus ministry during Brother Kugler's term.
Reverend Larry Davis, 1973 to 1977. During Brother Larry's pastorate, Danny Flora remained as youth director. The church voted to send Danny to Nashville, Tennessee to attend a bus clinic that would be helpful in the bus ministry. The bus ministry was great during this time. A covered driveway was built on the east side of the church where we could load and unload. Danny Flora resigned as youth director in 1974 after a job well done to attend Graceville Baptist Institute in Graceville, Florida.
Brother Bud Boss pastored from the latter part of 1977 until 1978.
Reverend Walt Alexander, 1978 to 1979. Brother Alexander was called to pastor Mount Carmel in June of 1978. During his tenure, the church voted to send him to pastors' conference and retreat in Florida. The church sold 3 houses previously bought by the highest bidder and used the land for parking.
Brother James Luckett served the church well as pastor in 1980.
Reverend Herman Pear, 1980 to 1981. Brother Pear was mission-minded. The Alabama Baptist newspaper made available to all church members during his tenure.
Cletus Neesmith, 1981 to 1983. Brother Neesmith was called to be pastor on November 29, 1981. Brother Robert Smith was elected as interim pastor and filled in until Brother Neesmith moved on the field in later part of 1981. He was a compassionate, humble pastor that loved and cared for the church members. While serving as pastor, the church voted to assist him in purchasing a new car. He resigned in 1983 to organize a new church, Calvary Baptist, in Blunsville, Alabama. He served as a pastor until declining health forced him to step down. He passed away in December 2014 at the age of 82.
Reverend C.L. Wilburn, 1983 to 1984. On July 31, 1983, the church met for the purpose of calling a new pastor. Brother C.L. Wilburn was elected. The Wilburn children, Jason, age 12, and Kim, age 11, were very musically talented. They sang together, accompanied by their mom, Peggy, on the piano. They are now 40 and 41 and still singing. During his tenure, the old church bus was sold and a new one was purchased. The pastorium was rented since he had a home in the Fort Payne area. The church discussed a radio broadcast for the Sunday morning service. Brother C.L. resigned in June of 1984.
Brother Larry Davis, 1984 until 1985. The church called Brother Larry for a second time in July of 1984. During his tenure, the Rebecca Sunday School class compiled, printed, and sold a collection of recipes, Very Good Recipes, to raise funds for several church projects. The book sale was very successful. Brother Larry served as pastor for a year. Brother Irby Shankle served as interim pastor until November of 1985, when Brother Steve Stanfield was called.
Reverend Steve Stanfield, 1985 to 1987. Brother Stanfield was called a pastor at Mount Carmel in November of 1985. During his term as pastor, the bus ministry and vacation Bible schools were good. The pastorium garage was bricked and rented since the Stanfields had built a home in Fort Payne. The church gave him a housing allowance and paid the utilities. The church voted to install a new PA system during his tenure.
Brother Billy Wallace, 1987 until 1992. After serving as interim pastor from October 1987 until 1988, Brother Billy Wallace accepted the call as full-time pastor. The church experienced a tremendous growth under his leadership. A church newspaper, the Hallelujah Herald, was established and published with Miss Laveda Pope as editor. The WMU was reinstated, and Miss Virginia Dare Smith served as director. The children's choir, under the direction of Miss Meta Lusk, and the youth choir, under the direction of Miss Phyllis Wallace and Miss Fay Bone, were great. The Sunshine Seniors, a group of our senior members who met monthly, was organized under the leadership of Miss Wyoma Henderson. A house at the lot on the corner of 8th Street and Clark Avenue was purchased, the house to be moved to make way for a new fellowship hall. The fellowship hall was built and paid for in 1 year. A wing was added to the back west side of the sanctuary to give more seating capacity. Mr. Floyd Gravett and Mr. Odell Dukes also bricked these two new additions. All the parking areas around the church were concreted during his tenure. Mr. Cecil Brown was honored in 1992 for his 40 years as choir director at Mount Carmel. His favorite song was "I'm So Glad He Found Me." Mr. Bill Clark was his assistant, and his favorite song was "Walking the Sea," which he also sang very enthusiastically. The membership at this time was $635, and the value of the church property had increased to $634,000. In December 1992, after a job well done, Brother Billy resigned. Brother James Ledwell served as the interim pastor until the church called Brother Waydale Howell in 1993.
Reverend Waydale Howell, 1993 to 1994. Brother Waydale accepted the call to Mount Carmel in July 1993. The old pastorium, Williams Avenue, was sold and a new one located at 406 38th Street Northeast was purchased. This would be the home for the Howell family while they were in Fort Payne. The church voted to buy a new piano and organ. The area around these were updated to give a more open look and improve the sound. The church directory was updated and a church library was begun. The women's bathroom was enlarged and modernized. The halls and stairs of the educational building were carpeted. The church voted to give all the Vacation Bible School offering to the Baptist Children's Home in Troy, Alabama.
Reverend Brandon Bruce, 1995 until 1997. In May 1995, Brother Brandon was appointed interim pastor. Then in 1994, he was elected to become the full-time pastor. Brother Brandon, Leslie, and the three girls were a loving young family.
Reverend Thomas Cagle, 1997 until 2006. Reverend Thomas Cagle accepted the church as a bivocational associate pastor during this time. In February of 1999, Brother Cagle was voted in as full-time pastor. Steve Luss was called to pastor Mount Zion Baptist Church, and in August of 2003, Brother Keith Atchley was called as associate pastor. He served until 2005, when he was called to pastor Maranatha Baptist Church. Brother Thomas was a great believer in missions. Mrs. Louise Bailey, also a great believer in missions, was WMU director. The church voted to establish a fund and set aside money each month for his purpose. This was given the name Robert Smith Mission Fund, in memory of the pastor who introduced missions to the church. Church members have taken mission trips to Panther, West Virginia, an Indian reservation in New Mexico, and Venezuela. The WMU sponsored the Shoebox Ministry for Samaritan's Purse and helped with the Christmas party at the local nursing home. In 1998, Mrs. Pearlie Hester and Mrs. Betty Keith were recognized as the last two charter members. Total property now includes the entire city block between 7th and 8th Street Northeast, with the exception of two lots. A lot on the corner of 8th Street and Sanders Avenue has been purchased and used for Vacation Bible School and other church activities, and a lot on the corner of 7th Street and Clark Avenue has been bought and made into additional parking. A building extension has been added, connecting the church and the fellowship hall, which contains two offices and a Sunday school room. Many improvements have been made, including a new baptistry and stained glass windows in the sanctuary. All the older Sunday school rooms were refurbished with paint and new carpet. In 2003, Mrs. Betty Keith was the last surviving charter member. She was the first pianist in 1940, always taught a Sunday school class, and was teaching the other ladies' peacemakers class when she passed away at the age of 97. The membership at this time reached 680. Church property was $1,172,900. Brother Thomas had a burden for lost souls and a love for the church family. He remained as pastor until 2006.
Reverend Shad Smith, 2006 until 2008. In September of 2006, Brother Shad Smith was called to pastor Mount Carmel Church. His family soon won the hearts of the church with their musical talents. Brother Shad, Carrie, Jonah, and Anna Grace sang as a family, and even though the children were young, they also sang as a duet. Brother Shad was an enthusiastic young pastor who wanted to accomplish many things for the Lord. The church bought a sound amplifier system for the hearing impaired to be used in the worship service. They also bought a projection system, replaced the columns and banisters at the front entrance, and remodeled the Sunday school rooms in the basement. Brother Shad resigned on Sunday morning, January 13th, 2008.
Reverend David Talley, 2009 to the present. On January 25, 2009, Brother Talley accepted the call to pastor Mount Carmel Baptist Church. Since the death of Miss Virgie Rawton in 2008, the church purchased the lot and the family was to move the house. They decided later to donate the house to the church. The house was renovated so the Talleys could use it on weekends. They lived in Hollywood, Alabama. Remodeling of the church sanctuary began in 2013, to be completed in phases. It has been painted, and the light fixtures have been changed thus far. Ms. Kathy Shankles, WMU president, along with several other members, and Brother David went on a mission trip to Haiti. Shoes were shipped to Haiti later. Bags of toys and necessities have been sent at Christmas time. Brother David, who has a burden for the lost, is known for his evangelistic messages. The value of the church property is now $1,611,800, and present membership is 634.